Surprise! We're doing another platformer. We're doing Astro's Playroom because they just announced a new Astrobot game, and I'm insanely hyped for it. That is the entire reason we're doing this.
So what is this Astro Boy thingy?
Oh my fucking god. For context, he called it Astro Boy before the part, and I got mad about it. And also, one of my friends, a couple days ago, when I sent them the trailer for the new game, was like, "Whoa, a new Astro Boy game? Wow, that's crazy."
Alright, that one was on purpose, but I guarantee you, before this commentary is over, I'm probably going to continue to call him Astro Boy, unironically, because I keep forgetting. And I will try not to.
Either way, this is purely just the tech demo for the PlayStation 5. It literally comes packaged in with the system, and it's just a fantastic little 3D platformer, and I love it to death. It's also, if you like, PlayStation stuff, this is the biggest PlayStation circle jerk ever known to man. So, yeah.
I have nothing to say about this. I have barely played PlayStation titles, and I have barely played any PlayStations themselves. I have a PS1 and a PS3. I'm gonna be lost here.
Okay, so imagine this game is effectively, what if Nintendo made a game for the PlayStation 5 and had to use every single feature that the console has? Because they usually do that for like the DS and stuff for when they make games, when they make a new console that has some wacky new gimmick. This is effectively that. This is just effectively PlayStation.
Right, kind of like what the Aperture Science thing Valve did for VR.
Yeah. It's just to showcase the system. One thing,
or Half-Life 2 in general.
Pretty much. But one thing we are missing out on with this playthrough here is, well, obviously, I didn't record this in 4K because I was having recording issues. I don't want to talk about it. But we're missing out on the 4K. We're also missing out on the haptic feedback of the controller, which is really fucking good in this. Like, they get crazy with the details. Like, you can feel a little pitter-patter of Astro's feet as he's walking along the ground, and it'll be like left, right, left, right, left, right. Vibration...
You're going to hate me for this, but so far my favorite use of haptic feedback for any game has been Borderlands 2, where you can get this gun called Moxie's Bad Touch, and it just, whenever you hold it, your controller just vibrates constantly and never stops, and it just turns your controller into a vibrator.
Is that haptic feedback, or is that just rumble?
I can... Look. My balls consider it haptic feedback. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways, we got a 3D platformer here with pretty much no load times, 4K ray tracing, all that fancy stuff the PS5 offers.
I think this... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, an Astrobot himself is an adorable little fucker, and I love him. So,
I think this is definitely fitting that PlayStation got the DualSense controller for all this. Were they the first ones to do any kind of haptic feedback or rumble, or was that Nintendo?
Well, Nintendo had the HD Rumble for Switch, and
you mean for wasn't it? Or wait, I'm just talking about rumble and vibration in general. Like, where did that come from first?
That's not what haptic feedback is. God damn it! I just made the distinction. But first person to do Rumble, probably PlayStation. I know then N64 had the Rumble pack, but I don't know if Nintendo had that before the DualShock existed. Because that's why it's called the DualShock, is because of the Rumble.
Alright, fine. Tell me the difference between haptic feedback and rumble.
Haptic feedback uses rumble to create a bunch of cool feeling effects to give you the sense of different like textures.
Okay, but how is that different than me firing a gun and my controller vibrating slightly?
Because depending on the gun you fire, they can have a different vibration. It's more immersive rumble. It's not just violently shake the controller when any action happens. It's shake the controller this way when you're walking on sand. Shake the controller this way when you're walking on glass. Shake the controller this way when you use a shotgun. Shake the controller this way when you're using an AK-47. That sort of thing.
I don't know. It still feels like the same thing between both. It's just one's more high-techy.
Yeah, but you're not going to call regular rumble haptic feedback. You can call
I've always
haptic
called it haptic feedback.
Well, that's just wrong. But you can certainly call haptic feedback rumble, but that's very much simplifying what haptic feedback does. But there is a distinction.
What'd that guy do to you, by the way? You just beat the shit out of him.
Well, I didn't know if there was a secret with him, because I would hit him and he'd fly to a location, and then I'd hit him and then he'd fly back. I didn't know if he would lead me somewhere.
That's fucked.
Yeah. So these levels, they're like really simple to complete, but they're full of lots of life and fun. All the little Astro bots are all over the place.
This looks like it has the energy of like an old school collectathon, like Banjo or something.
Oh yeah.
Or Mario 64.
Yeah. This is effectively, despite the fact that they haven't really used it for anything but demoing their hardware, Astro Bot is effectively Sony's only remaining like 3D mascot platformer. Even though you could count Ratchet, I guess, Ratchet and Clank, but that wasn't originally directly owned by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
They only own them now because they bought Insomniac. So,
visually, is there anything being showcased here outside of some special effects and good-looking water?
Yeah, there's.
Or is it all pretty standard for what you would expect?
It's all fully ray traced, and like I said, the game is in 4K. What we're kind of also missing out on here is I've talked about this in a previous playthrough. I don't remember which one, but the Elgato has really, really dulled out colors when you record things with it. But this game is like really bright and vibrant. It still looks pretty bright and vibrant here, but it's even more so looking at it on my own monitor while I'm directly playing it.
So it's nothing someone like me would notice. Got it.
I mean, if you put them side by side, you would absolutely notice.
Side by side, but if I'm not paying attention, going between the two, I'm not going to notice.
What I will say, though, you're not really getting that from this footage here, but if you sat down and played this, you would probably be pretty blown away by how good it looks. Especially for just the fact that it's a fucking standard 3D platformer. You generally don't expect these things to look as good as this.
Well, back in the day they used to, and that's kind of what I'm getting the most vibes out of this. Is this a very back in the day feeling game?
Yeah. And yeah, that's
like
very
PS1
fair.
stuff that's been dead since the PS1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this game, I think Team Asobi here really does take a lot of inspiration from Mario, obviously. Like, you can just kind of tell by looking at this. This kind of gives Odyssey vibes in a lot of ways.
I was going to say Sunshine vibes, but...
Well, that's just because we're in a beach.
Well, you did also the hover.
No, yeah, you know what? I never thought of that. You're actually right. That is one thing I did used to be critical about this game was the basic game feel and control. It is very simple. It's surprisingly simple. Like, there's like not that much weight to Astrobot's movements here, like you might expect if you've played 3D Mario or whatever. He's very snappy. He's very precise, and he's got a really, really fast jump arc. But I figured out that is actually, like, the game, it's a very unique game feel, and it's very satisfying for speedrunning, because you just have, like, super, super precise control over Astrobot at any given time. It's sort of like, if I could put it into words, it's sort of like the classic Mega Man games minus Mega Man 1, where he has a little more weight to his movements, but just in 3D, and a little bit faster, obviously.
Yeah, would you say there's much merit to playing this game if you're not a big PlayStation fan? Like, if this was your first console?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's just in general, like, it's
Yeah.
really short and pretty easy, especially if you're not going for all the extra collectibles. But it's just a really, really solid 3D platformer,
Yeah.
just all around.
Because, like, for me, my favorite Sony exclusive is probably Final Fantasy VII. So that's how far removed I am.
Yeah.
So I just don't really have any attachment to any other big Sony franchises at all.
Yeah, there's a lot in here. I think you'll see, because they reference more than just stuff that is still currently exclusive to Sony. This is PlayStation's greatest hits are going to be all over this game. So, but yeah, I would say in general this is just a really, really solid 3D platformer. Like, shockingly so. And even though it's a big PlayStation circle jerk, you will just have fun if you like 3D platformers. So,
Yeah. Do you think the fact that there hasn't been another game until now, do you think that's just because Sony doesn't really care too much and it's just testing the waters? Or if they kind of restarted to make everything from scratch and it's just spent a lot of time developing everything?
No, I think...
Because I don't know how much of a foundation there is here to make an entire new game.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, this could be a full game. They just don't have all the levels there. Because there's only, like, 4 main levels. And just a couple of, like, speedrun challenges. And then all the collectibles, obviously. But that's it. This game is very small. So, and from the trailer that we saw, it does look like they are just using this as a foundation to make that game.
Gotcha.
And I am, like, super down for that because I love how this game feels and looks and everything. And it looks like they are, adding even more power-ups and stuff to use in the new game. So, it's not just your this is definitely a solid foundation for a full game. So I'm very glad, because that was my thing when I got this, when I got my PS5 and played this. I was like, man, that was so good. Why was it only 3 hours long? So I am so glad they're making a full game based on this, and we will be recording it, or I will be, whenever it comes
it's
out,
better
so.
than the Genesis' tie-in game. Sonic the Hedgehog's only an hour long. Kind of fucking sucks.
That's true. Sonic sucks. And Sonic doesn't have cool Mario Galaxy-esque motion control gimmicks like this game does. Let's go.
Now, would you say this goes for, like, best pack-in game? Or would you still give it to something like Sonic 1 or Mario World or Wii Sports?
I mean, I like Sonic 1 more than this, but that's just me. I'm a big Sonic fan.
Ignoring your biases. You got a gun!
Well, see, the thing
Go
with...
kill them all, sport!
The thing with Sonic being a pack-in game was it was, a full-priced, full-fledged video game of that time being packed in with the system for no extra cost. This is clearly just made as a tech demo for the PS5. So,
yeah, same thing with, like, Wii Sports. It's something I've never really liked as much about this era of gaming.
Yeah.
For Italian games, they just don't really feel as substantial.
Yeah,
like,
weirdly...
I think my tie-in game for, like, my 360, which was, like, one of the last ones I ever got, was, like, Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
And I remember Kung Fu Panda being good. Sure it isn't, though.
Yeah.
But, nostalgia.
Yeah. But, with this game, for me, when it came out, it did kind of a little bit piss me off. Hey, look, it's Snake.
I still need to play that game. I do have that one on PS1, though. So, at least I have that.
This game's awesome. but
What did that guy ever do to you?
He made a funny noise each time I hit him, so I had to hit him a bunch.
Oh, of
That's
course.
what he did. But what I was saying was this game kind of pissed me off a little bit because to me it kind of showed me that Sony doesn't see like the value of a 3D platformer like this as a full game. They kind of just only see it as a way to showcase their system's features.
Yeah.
Which, you know, really pissed me off. And this is not the first Astrobot game. They've been using the Astro bot character and series as the PlayStation tech demo showcase thing since the PS4.
Okay.
It's I forget what it's called. I think it might just be called the Playroom on PS4. But it's just a controller like tech demo pretty much where you can have a bunch of the little Astro bots and do a bunch of wacky stuff with them, but it's not a real video game.
Why do you have a nunchuck? What?
Well, that's one of the things. This game, you are collecting PlayStation artifacts.
Was that gun a PlayStation artifact?
Yes, all the artifacts, all the artifacts in this are old PlayStation accessories or more recent PlayStation accessories because you do collect some stuff for the PS4.
Okay.
And stuff. So you're each of the levels, the main artifact you get by beating them is one of the PlayStation consoles. And yeah, that's
Man,
probably...
I'm imagining Xbox doing this, and you can collect the Kinect and just be like, "Wow, this goes in the wall of shame."
I'm imagining Xbox trying this and it not being a platformer, it just being like
it'd become a military shooter.
I would think it'd be like a Halo clone, because that's the only game anyone knows Xbox for some reason.
Gears.
No one talks about Gears of War anymore, especially.
No one talks about Halo anymore, so...
Well, no, people talk about Halo now because of the disappointing state of the franchise.
They were talking about that since Halo 4.
But, yeah, I don't really think Xbox could do something like this as effectively, unfortunately, because I love Xbox, or I used to. Xbox was my first system, so I like
well, the big
Xbox.
thing that hurts their exclusives is like the only exclusives you can think of is Halo, Gears, and like everything else is just forgotten the time or no longer exclusive. Like Ori, does that really count? Does Cuphead count? Mecha would be the only one I'd want to see, and I'm the only one who remembers that game.
Yeah.
So, like, there's just not enough of a legacy to go off of.
Yeah. And like I said, most people outside of Xbox only really know it for, like, Halo. So, like, you would try to make something like that, and, even if it was a really well-selling game, people would be like, what are all these other fucking things in here? I only know Halo.
See, that's like the most frustrating thing about being an Xbox fan is, like, if the console was going to die, and they announced it was going to die, and there was going to be no exclusives, you could just do everything on PC, then it'd be a lot easier, because then it's just like, okay, I just don't have to get an Xbox now. I can be happier.
Yeah.
But then they have backwards compatibility.
And it's amazing.
It has 60 FPS, and all the games work great. And it's like, do you want me to be free or not? What the hell are you doing to me?
They don't want you to be free. They don't want you to be free.
I just want to be free, so because like I'm going to get Nintendo, because that's just too exclusive. But like Xbox and PlayStation is always up in the air because they play pretty similar games for the most part. Sony just has more exclusives, but when you count the entire Xbox 360 library that's available on Xbox Series X as an exclusive, suddenly the Xbox Series X is way more valuable. Even though it's just games I've mostly already played. And I hate it. Microsoft just won't let me die in peace.
Yeah. Well, real quick, we just had our Resident Evil reference over there.
Oh.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Fortunately, though, based on how things are going with Xbox, the Series X may be the last Xbox you'll ever possibly need.
I personally highly doubt it.
I think they're gonna make one more thing, and then after that, it's gonna be just Game Pass for the rest of the time. That's just.
I mean, I'd be happier that way if they were able to do something about the 360 libraries and making them playable on Windows, but
no, with how video game preservation is, we're just not gonna get anything good.
potentially, but just the fact the 360 library in the current state it's in even exists, you know, is already pretty good hope for something like that. Even if they had to release like a special disk drive to be able to read their games.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just making a free-to-use or an actual emulator that will work with any game so you can play those old games that were never brought over to Series X. Even something like that would just be, like, you know, if that was, like, the last thing Microsoft did and then never released another console, like, fuck PlayStation, fuck Nintendo, that is the coolest thing ever. Probably won't happen, and I'm too optimistic. But,
well, that's also the problem, though. Like, they could make that. But from a financial perspective, what would be the point? Because nobody can even buy 90% of the games that were on the original Xbox anyways anymore. So... I could see them being like, you know, what's the point?
Yeah. Because, yeah, if they just keep it... Because then all you'd have is just digital stuff, and, yeah.
Yeah.
They could also release it as like a software to work with DVD readers, but I think at least for I think for the original Xbox, you have to have special lasers to even be able to read it that aren't in commercial disc readers. So
yeah. Fuck.
Oh. Haven't you played Klonoa? Damn it.
Motion controls. Yeah, I'm tilting the controller left and right to jump left and right with this thing. It's pretty fun once you get the feel for it, but it is definitely awkward.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm glad I kind of started with this level, because overall I think it's probably the worst one in the game. It's still fun.
Yeah.
But I don't like this frog.
Oh.
He's just kind of funky. Another artifact. I'm not going for 100% completion, but I get very close. So there's that.
A device no one bought.
Hey, I had a PSP.
Do you still have it? I'll buy it.
I have two, so you can buy one anyways.
Ooh.
Whee. Yeah. At the end of each of these...
That guy looked like he was jacking off or something.
He's listening to headphones.
Oh, you know, that makes much more sense. Don't ask where my mind's been.
Yeah, if you're not going for the collectibles in these levels... Oh, hey, it's Sly Cooper. But if you're not going for the collectibles in this...
What is that? What franchise is that?
Sly Cooper.
Oh, another one I haven't played.
Yeah, he doesn't let you see him if you get too close. So he's like out of the safe, and then you get close and he hides in it.
Gotcha.
Which is something you can do in the.
Those are some PS3 colors. I recognize that.
Well, yeah. Look at the background. It's the PlayStation 3 menu.
At least I recognize something. Shut the fuck up.
And yeah, the music also is the PlayStation 3 menu music, with like a little techno beat in the background.
Yes, I chose the wrong console. I get it. I'll still buy Xbox if they make another.
The only PlayStation console I don't really have an actual history with is the PlayStation 2, which is crazy to think about because I don't really consider myself a PlayStation fanboy at all. But I've played, like, every single one of their systems other than the PlayStation 2. I have a PlayStation 2 now, but I didn't have one growing up.
Yeah.
But But my dad had a PS1 even before I was born, so I got to play like Crash 3 and stuff as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I PlayStation 3 I got in like 2011 or something. And then, I had a PSP growing up because Sonic Rivals. And my buddy let me borrow his PS Vita for several months. And then, of course, the PS4, PS5 were just my main consoles for the last 2 generations. So, yeah. But this is where all of our PlayStation circle jerking gets to pay off, because we get to look at it all in one place. It's great.
Yeah. I just been on Xbox my whole life. I had a Wii. It's the only other console I had.
I'm a very privileged gamer. I started on Xbox, but I eventually pretty much got every system.
Lucky fuck.
I know, because I got a lot of them way after the fact, but I was able to get a GameCube.
Yeah, well, way after the fact is one thing when you can have your own money and you can go out and buy it.
Yeah.
It's just growing up, you're at the mercy of what your parents get, and thankfully the Wii looked like a great family system at a time when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah,
it was just too perfect.
My dad really wanted the Wii, and the Wii that we have is his, because he went out and bought it himself. But he has never played it. He played it like the day we got it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Honestly, I'm not even sure we would have had an Xbox 360 if we didn't get it before the Wii came out.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's crazy to think about, because the 360 to this day is still probably my favorite console and one I have most fond memories on.
Yeah, the 360 was, the same reason we got it was because it was the only one out, the only new one out at the time. And we got it with Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda, and it was freaking awesome.
Hell yeah. Those games were great.
They were awesome. Love that shit.
I still got my old copy. I have no idea if it works, though. I'm scared to put the disc in.
Yeah.
Because I feel like something on there will get stuck in the disc drive.